Also mention the presence of our WHO country representative and other distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the SAA Symposium 2016 Planning Committee, we welcome everybody to the La Palm Hotel for this symposium on emerging infectious diseases. We would like to start by asking my co-chair, Professor Seni, to please invite our distinguished guests to the high table.
Thank you, Professor. We'd like to invite Honorable Minister of Health of Ghana, Honorable Minister of Health of Zimbabwe, and the President of SAA, the representative of Minister of Health of Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, and WHO representative to join us to the President of his third symposium of SAA. Please.
Shall we please bow down our heads in prayer? Our Father in heaven, we thank you so much for your goodness and your mercies. Thank you for traveling mercies, bringing all of us here. We ask and we also commit this program into your hands. We ask you to take absolute control from the beginning to the end. And when everything is done successfully, we'll be careful to give you praise. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Margaret. We will move to the program, but I would be amiss if I did not acknowledge the strong platform and efforts by the SAA Secretariat, who came up with this idea 4 months ago and approached us in academia to help with the planning of this scientific symposium. So that laid a seed for the efforts, the various discussions, and many, many emails that have resulted in this symposium. We are very happy that some of our ministers of health are here with us, and we are very grateful that this is an opportunity for us to share and discuss some of the recent evidence, some of the issues, and enable us to move forward in the fight against emerging viral infections. So without further ado, we will go to the program and we'll ask the Honorable Minister of Health of Ghana to give you his welcome address. Shall we welcome him with some applause, please?
Good afternoon to all. Firstly, can I just indicate that once I finish my speech, I have been summoned to Parliament. It's the life of a minister, to answer some questions, but this is a 3-day symposium, so I'll be in and out as time goes by, and the program starts tomorrow. But it's my pleasure to, first of all, invite you all to our beloved country, Ghana. Mr. Chairman, Honorable Ministers of Health, or the Minister of Health for Zimbabwe, and the representatives of the Ministers of Health from La Côte d'Ivoire and the Republic of Benin. The representative from the WHO, that's our country manager, the coordinator and officials of the Society for AIDS in Africa Permanent Secretariat, the DG of the Ghana AIDS Commission, distinguished participants and organizers of the Third Society for AIDS in Africa, invited guests, special guests, our foreign dignitaries, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I am most delighted to welcome you all to the beautiful city of Accra for the timely symposium on Africa's preparedness for viral epidemics of public health importance. First of all, I wish to acknowledge the importance and timely efforts of the Society for AIDS in Africa to organize this all-important symposium. The global threat of infectious diseases outbreaks, such as avian influenza, Middle East respiratory syndrome, coronavirus, meningitis, and yellow fever, spreading from person to person and across borders, poses a serious public health risk to all countries. The risk is especially high for low and middle resource countries with less developed systems to prevent, early detect, and rapidly respond to emerging and re-emerging public health threats. The Ebola outbreak in West Africa, in the sub-region, as well as other emerging and re-emerging infectious disease outbreaks, have revealed to us all that we remain ill-prepared in the face of major public health emergencies. This is food for thought for all nations and calls for urgent need for member states to strengthen health systems. We need to prevent, early detect, timely respond, and quickly recover from these emerging and re-emerging threats. It's indeed crucial that we meet to discuss measures to forestall the increasing incidence of emerging viral infections in Africa. In Ghana, following lessons learned from recent outbreaks of cholera and meningitis in our country, and the yellow fever, Lassa fever outbreaks in neighboring countries, His Excellency the President of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, has charged the Ministry of Health to be on full alert and enhance our surveillance and response systems. Our continent is vulnerable to viral epidemics, and we are facing threats from Lassa fever and potential danger of the spread of the Zika virus disease and the consequent complication of microcephaly and other related brain damage to affected children. The ongoing fight against HIV/AIDS in Africa and the response to the Ebola epidemic in West Africa present the opportunity to utilize the valuable lessons learned to manage emerging infectious diseases. Prevention pays, and it is prudent for us to increase awareness on the emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases, invest and strengthen systems for prevention, early detection, and enhance our preparedness for effective responses. This is the surest way to mitigate the negative impacts of these hazards. In Ghana, we have initiated measures to prime our health system. We have sent and circulated alerts and case definitions for Lassa fever and the Zika virus to all levels of our health delivery system. We are in the process of improving our surveillance system following an in-depth review after the recent meningitis outbreaks with refresher trainings for frontline health workers, including laboratory staff, on appropriate sample collection and diagnostic protocols. We are harmonizing our standard protocols and procedures and ensuring a more effective linkage between health facilities and our diagnostic and research institutions. We have established the capacity for laboratory investigations of Lassa and Zika viral infections with assistance from the WHO and CDC. With appropriate logistic support, we stand in a position to provide technical support to neighboring countries in the sub-region in the laboratory confirmation of these conditions. Ghana has made enormous investments in health infrastructure as new hospitals are being constructed at national, regional, and district levels, strategically located to offer specialist services to boost health delivery. It is worthy to mention that about 70% of emerging infectious disease conditions are from animal origin, and hence the need for closer collaboration between the human and animal health systems in line with the One Health approach. We need to continue working closely with our veterinary colleagues in respect of avian influenza outbreaks in poultry to curtail these outbreaks and prevent transmissions to humans. This conference with the theme, Africa's Preparedness for Emerging Viral Infections, Lessons from HIV, Ebola, and the Outlook for Zika and Lassa, is timely and highlights the need for sustained obligations to provide adequate resources and system strengthening, shared responsibility, and a stronger African commitment. I expect that meetings and participants will propose strategies and applicable mechanisms for epidemic prevention and control that will enhance community resilience and preparedness for epidemics such as Zika, which originated in Africa and has spread rapidly through the Americas in recent months. The Ministry of Health is delighted that this symposium is taking place in Accra, which was the host of the UN mission that successfully contained the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. Ghana will continue to support regional and continental efforts for emerging diseases. I wish you fruitful deliberations and hope your valuable inputs will strengthen and guide relevant policies for effective risk assessment and response to those emerging viral threats. I thank you, and may God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Prof. Semi, please come and introduce the SAA President, who will now make his address.
Thank you so much. So, with your permission, I would like to speak in French because it's a bilingual symposium, and I want to speak also in French. So, je voudrais introduire le président de la SAA et pour son adresse pour ce troisième symposium, Dr Ehab Ahmed, qui est donc président de la SAA et qui, depuis sa prise de fonction, a donc conduit le processus pour ICASA 2015 au Zimbabwe, qui a été un franc succès. Donc nous lui donnons la parole pour donc présenter son adresse pour ce troisième symposium. Do you want translation? Or it's okay. I understand that the Ministry of Health of Ghana understand very well French because around him there is Côte d'Ivoire, Burkina, Togo, the French countries, speaking countries. So.
Thank you very much, Professor Sini. The Honorable Minister of Health of Ghana, Honorable Minister of Health of Zimbabwe, and my friend Dr. David, representative of Minister of Health of Benin Republic, representative of Minister of Health of Côte d'Ivoire, representative of Regional Director of WHO Afro, Deputy Head of Mission of Netherlands Kingdom, Country Director of CDC Ghana, Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Honorable SAA board members, and the co-chairs of this symposium, Professor William Ampufu and Professor Sini Kwanda, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, participants of the third SAA Symposium. It's indeed with a great pleasure and enthusiasm that on behalf of the Society for AIDS in Africa, we are welcoming you into Accra, the capital city of the Republic of Ghana, which is also the permanent headquarters of our organization since October 2009. I would like, before proceeding, to recognize all the past presidents of the Society for AIDS in Africa. I don't know all of them is present here or not, but Professor Femi Swenka is not yet come. He is from Nigeria. Professor Mpili Pierre from RD Congo. RD Congo Brazzaville. And Professor Rupert Soudrey from Burkina Faso. Here are some of the brilliant pioneers that lead the foundation of the International Conference on AIDS and STIs in Africa, ICASA. Today we are calling Africa to come together as one to raise up to new challenges that if we don't start talking about and having the appropriate platform as this symposium to analyze best practice mechanism and table efficient propositions to strengthen our health system, we can end up having a strategic approach to new emerging diseases in Africa, such as Ebola, Zika, and Lassa outbreak. We believe that the management and the lesson learned from HIV and AIDS should be the way forward to deal with any emerging diseases in Africa. Let me see if our people from the global community are here. No. No one here. So we can prevent new emerging diseases if we don't put first our community people as center and translate the science to match behavior, to community tradition and best practice. It's right time to call our leaders to consider health and education as priority into their country budget. Without a strong health system and education to facilitate prevention, outreach, we can't expect development. Dear participants, today should be a memorial day as Africans will decide to think ahead of event to preempt new coming infection. I believe that those are privileged and will really translate to action the call of this symposium. I wish you all successful deliberation, and I know that Africa and the other regions are watching you and are waiting for your recommendations. Let me conclude by sincere appreciation to Minister of Health Ghana, the Netherlands Embassy in Ghana, WHO Afro, and the Noguchi Institute for facilitating this meeting, and especially big thank to you to your participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, SAA President. We will now have the welcome remarks on behalf of the Minister de la Santé de Côte d'Ivoire.
Excellences, Monsieur le ministre de la Santé du Ghana, hôte de ce 3e symposium sur les infections virales émergentes. Excellences, Monsieur le ministre de la Santé du Zimbabwe, Excellences, Monsieur le représentant du ministre de la Santé du Bénin, Monsieur le représentant régional de l'Organisation mondiale de la santé, Monsieur le chargé de l'ambassade des Pays-Bas, Monsieur le représentant du CDC Atlanta, Madame la directrice de la commission SIDA, Monsieur le représentant de l'université Noguchi, Monsieur le président de la Société africaine anti-SIDA, Mesdames et Messieurs, Madame la ministre de la Côte d'Ivoire, de la Santé de la Côte d'Ivoire aurait bien voulu être à cet important symposium, mais pour une raison de calendrier, il n'a pu venir à ce symposium. Aussi, nous a-t-elle chargé de venir donner le message de la Côte d'Ivoire. C'est l'expérience de la gestion, de la prévention et du contrôle et de la réponse à l'épidémie du virus Ebola. Voici un peu le plan que nous allons suivre. Il faut dire qu'en 1994, dans la forêt de Taï en Côte d'Ivoire, il y a eu un cas non mortel dans cette forêt chez une dame, une scientifique, qui était à l'occasion de ces explorations scientifiques. Et en mars 2014, l'épidémie fulgurante de la maladie à virus Ebola, nous la savons tous, a eu lieu en Guinée, Libéria et Sierra Leone. Et la région de la Guinée et du Libéria, qui sont des frontières à la Côte d'Ivoire, était touchée par cette épidémie. Et il est à noter qu'entre les deux pays, entre les trois pays, il y a d'importants mouvements de population au niveau des différentes frontières. Donc, cela constituait un réel risque de propagation de l'épidémie en Côte d'Ivoire. Juste pour vous montrer la frontière, la Côte d'Ivoire qui est là, la Guinée, et le Libéria, qui sont des pays très voisins. Alors, devant ces risques importants, la Côte d'Ivoire a pris des mesures immédiates, notamment le renforcement de la surveillance épidémiologique dans la région de l'Ouest qui constitue la frontière avec ces deux pays. Le renforcement de la surveillance dans les services de santé, avec un accent particulier sur la vigilance et au niveau des établissements sanitaires aussi bien privés que publics. Et le renforcement du contrôle au niveau des frontières maritimes, terrestres et aériennes. Cette image, c'était à l'occasion de la mobilisation de tout le gouvernement pour faire passer le message. Et des mesures immédiates, il y a la prise en charge des cas également éventuels qui pourraient se présenter, notamment les cas suspects. Et nous avons procédé à l'installation des postes avancés de coordination à Mans, à l'ouest, à Guiglo, à Odiéné, sur toute la frontière ouest de la Côte d'Ivoire. Et Madame la ministre, le docteur Raymond Goudou Kofi, elle-même s'est rendue sur le terrain. Vous la voyez là avec les populations, avec les autorités, le préfet, les autorités administratives et toute la population, avec les leaders communautaires également. Cela pour mettre l'accent sur la sensibilisation et surtout pour sensibiliser davantage les populations avec des affiches que nous avons élaborées pour sensibiliser davantage la population. Et il y a eu, en dehors de cela, des mesures exceptionnelles, des mesures d'interdiction de vol au départ en provenance des pays affectés et la mise en place des comités de veille présidés par son Excellence, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Ensuite, il y a eu l'ouverture des couloirs humanitaires, économiques, sanitaires en direction des pays voisins affectés par la maladie. Juste pour vous montrer la proactivité du gouvernement, dès les 24 heures, dès les 48 heures, automatiquement, la Côte d'Ivoire a réagi. Et les 4 jours qui ont suivi, il y a eu des campagnes de sensibilisation, la mise en place des postes avancés et il y a eu la réunion dans les 48 heures, la réunion de crise pour pouvoir mettre en place le comité qui allait coordonner cette lutte. Alors, la Côte d'Ivoire a élaboré, dans ce cas, un plan d'action dont l'objectif c'était d'améliorer les capacités de préparation et de riposte à l'épidémie. Je vais passer sur les objectifs spécifiques, c'est d'informer la population, de renforcer la surveillance épidémiologique, de coordonner la lutte également avec ce comité. Promouvoir également la prévention de la transmission, renforcer les capacités de réponse, développer la recherche opérationnelle, renforcer la surveillance en matière de santé animale. Monsieur le ministre l'a dit tout à l'heure, il faut une bonne collaboration avec les vétérinaires et cela, nous l'avons pris en notre compte, avec un accent particulier sur la faune sauvage également. Ce plan comportait 5 axes stratégiques: la coordination, la communication, la surveillance épidémiologique, la prévention des mesures, la promotion des mesures de prévention et les capacités de réponse qui doivent être renforcées. En termes de coordination, au plus haut niveau, il a été mis en place un comité de veille qui était présidé par son Excellence Monsieur le Premier ministre et qui devait définir les orientations stratégiques et définir le niveau d'alerte. Ensuite, assurer la surveillance continue, assurer également la coordination diplomatique avec les parties prenantes. Monsieur le ministre était à la tête de ce comité avec comme membres toutes les représentations diplomatiques représentées en Côte d'Ivoire. Juste pour vous montrer la configuration du comité, donc il y avait le comité de veille, il y a le comité national qui est présidé par Madame la ministre de la Santé, et il y avait des comités locaux, tout ça pour pouvoir coordonner cette lutte-là. Il y a eu un fort engagement communautaire, vous l'avez vu tout à l'heure. Je vais vous passer des détails au niveau de l'engagement communautaire, mais il faut tout simplement retenir que nous avons mis en place 2 lignes téléphoniques, 2 lignes vertes qui nous a permis d'avoir des informations régulièrement. Et ça donne une idée de cet engagement communautaire avec les appels qui ont progressé en 2013 et en 2014. Vous voyez comment le nombre d'appels a progressé pour dire que la population était suffisamment sensibilisée à cette maladie. Au niveau du contrôle à l'aéroport, nous avons procédé au contrôle systématique de la température avec des pistolets thermiques, de même que des caméras et des scanners. Je passe sur les détails. Avec l'accent particulier sur la promotion des mesures d'hygiène, lavage des mains, avec l'eau et du savon et des gels hydroalcooliques. Et nous avons installé des centres de prise en charge également. Nous avons, pendant cette période, nous avons eu des cas d'alerte et des cas alertes, mais aucun cas confirmé n'a été répertorié. Également, nous avons mis l'accent sur la capture des chauves-souris pour rechercher éventuellement la présence du virus dans ces animaux, avec une bonne collaboration et surtout un appui important des partenaires qui nous ont appuyés pendant tout le processus. Et c'est le lieu ici de remercier tous les partenaires qui ont accompagné la Côte d'Ivoire pendant cette lutte-là. Donc ça, c'était le laboratoire, renforcement des capacités du laboratoire. Et également, nous avons tous les soins qui étaient reçus étaient prodigués gratuitement. Alors, la particularité, il y avait une autre particularité, c'est le fait que la Côte d'Ivoire a contribué dans le cadre de la sous-région à appuyer les pays qui étaient touchés par la mise à disposition de 15 agents de santé qui sont allés appuyer les équipes en Sierra Leone, en Guinée et au Libéria. Je vais passer sur les détails du matériel que nous avons acquis à l'occasion de cette lutte-là. Tout ce matériel qui a permis une mobilité sur le terrain et qui a permis de sensibiliser et surtout d'être vraiment réactif. La communauté et le personnel de santé a été formé. Nous avons procédé au renforcement de ses capacités à tous les niveaux de la pyramide sanitaire. Et c'était un atelier de partage d'expérience avec la RDC dans le cadre de cette collaboration Sud-Sud que nous avons trouvé comme une bonne expérience.
Merci beaucoup, Professeur Benny. We will now have a poem by Crespo the poet. I hope it will be a very interesting poem, since you are going to talk about Zika and Lassa and Ebola. I'm a virologist, so I'm going to listen very well.
I'm very honored to be here. As one of the writers and spoken word artists in the country, I'm here to contribute my quota to the awareness creation of Ebola, Zika, and Lassa virus. Once bitten, twice shy. We always see the pace at which they rise, but still, we always pay little attention to it. So I'm here to create awareness on these emerging diseases so that Africa will create awareness on these emerging diseases before it spread from one country to another. Zika, Ebola, and HIV/AIDS. They came and they caused victims to many people. But actually, I'm not a victim of it. But I want to, once again, contribute to my quota. We always see the way at which they spread. But we always, I wish I can get a movable mic if it will be. The way at which they spread always make us pay that yes until we see our own people die. So little attention do we give to these emerging diseases, all because of how we see the pace of their velocity. But slowly, slowly, they end up conquering our city as they begin to cause harm and destructions to humanity. Sooner than later, this virus eventually gets out of our hands as they begin to manifest in the world, affecting and transmitting from one person to another, from north to south, from east to west. And until they begin to wipe out the human race, mankind will never find it useful to find their cause or race. Recently it was Ebola, but before it was HIV/AIDS. But we sat down and paid little attention to it before it spread from one country to another. And we will be painting our boasrewa. Ojene batata no way in any atunchen. And I mean, young cancer there and penny for see musu. The world is now a global village, so viral infection travel easily no matter the mileage. Because day in and day out there is the change in human demographic for several reasons. And our rapid travel and commerce between nations throughout the seasons. So eventually, this virus spread easily. And now Zika is coming to us from Uganda. So my simple message is to create awareness on these emerging diseases before you travel from one country to another. Discovered in the 1940s, killing people as it's first killed in the 1950s. So from one country to another, it spreads to increase its territory. But we are the cause because of our problems, that is sanitary. So this Aedes mosquito spreads to cause infection to both young and old age. Anytime they expand its geographical range. Ehunu bi painting na aboasrewa ojene batata no we yin ani atonchen. Ena me hunu yan kan so de empanyimfo sie emuso. Once again, Lassa is traveling with high swiftness. The virus killing people due to the acute viral hemorrhagic that causes the illness. So this Aedes mosquito spreads to cause infection to both young and old age. Anytime it expands its geographical range. Fever, sore throat, cough, and eye symptoms. So let's create awareness on this before we become victims. The truth is that Zika and Lassa has no vaccine. So to end these diseases, let's create awareness on these emerging diseases. Let's create awareness on hygiene, To end these viruses, I will urge all to contribute to the awareness creation by also informing two people through all the media platforms and also help so that this disease doesn't kill us. Once again, I contribute my quota to Lassa, Ebola, and HIV/AIDS because they kill. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Crespo. I was wondering how you were going to dramatize viruses that we cannot see. Thank you very much for that excellent rendition of Zika, Lassa, Ebola, and HIV. I would like to remark here that I don't think the Honorable Minister knows that I'm notorious because I found HIV first in Ghana many, many years ago. I was much younger then. And unfortunately, I chose to work with viruses. I worked on the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which is the vector of yellow fever, for my BSc degree. So when Luke came to see me to talk about doing this symposium on Ebola, Lassa, and Zika, I thought it was maybe my position in it's fate. Maybe God put me here to continue to work on viruses and now help to bring this scientific discussion on these viruses and explain it to the public. Because when you talk about viruses, they can't see the virus. They can only see the effects. And the panic that we had when we had the Ebola scare was really very frightful. So we hope that as we've gathered here, we've listened to the poet, and our ministers are talking to us, we will revisualize and see how we can strengthen our health system to deal with these viral infections. And we are most grateful to the developing partners and the technical agencies, WHO, who continue to work with our national agencies. At this juncture, we will now have a small drama, but before that, I will ask Honorable Minister if he still has time to be here. Good. So we will continue now. We will ask the drama group to give us a performance. The drama group, are you ready? As we wait for the drama group to prepare for the presentation that they will give to us, I'd like to remind you that on the program, we're going to have a special award ceremony. And this is something that I am very happy to see on the program because I think we should continue to reward and acknowledge the singular efforts of individuals who make a special contribution to make the world a better place just by the work that they do. So we're very happy, and I would like a round of applause for all those who are going to be awarded today. You don't see their names, but there will be a very interesting part for that. I think that the drama team is not ready, so we will continue. We will ask the Honorable Minister from Zimbabwe to please come to the podium to give us a speech. Sorry, we will have the representative of Benin Ministry of Health. Please come and give us a welcome address. Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur le maître de cérémonie, lorsque vous prenez les agendas, ce n'est pas prévu. Donc, il faut que j'intervienne de manière subite. Excellence, Monsieur le ministre de la Santé du Ghana, Monsieur le ministre de la Santé du Zimbabwe, Monsieur le représentant de Madame le ministre de la Santé de la Côte d'Ivoire, Monsieur le président de la SAA, Monsieur le représentant résident de l'OMS au Ghana, Mesdames et Messieurs les partenaires techniques et financiers ici présents dans cette salle, Mesdames et Messieurs les présentateurs, des orateurs qui animeront ces 3 jours de symposium, Mesdames et Messieurs les différents participants, honorables invités en vos rangs et grades, je voudrais prendre la parole au nom de Monsieur le ministre de la Santé du Bénin, le docteur Alassane Seydou, qui aurait bien voulu être là, mais pour des contraintes d'agenda, n'a pas pu être là. Il me charge d'abord de vous dire merci. Merci de faire une pause. Pause pour réfléchir sur la situation des fièvres hémorragiques, non seulement en Afrique, mais de par le monde. Je ne voudrais pas revenir sur tout ce qui a été dit par rapport à cette urgence qui était d'abord une urgence nationale d'un pays. Elle est devenue régionale, puis elle est devenue une urgence mondiale. La fameuse épidémie de la fièvre hémorragique à virus Ebola, qui a secoué l'Afrique de l'Ouest. Et la manière dont ça a été géré en Afrique de l'Ouest montre que l'Afrique de l'Ouest n'avait pas une habitude de cette fièvre. Ça se présente, cette fièvre, je dirais, de manière régulière en Afrique centrale. Mais les conséquences sont moindres là-bas que ce que nous avons eu ici. Ce qui montre l'impréparation de la sous-région, ce qui montre les faiblesses de nos systèmes sanitaires.
Okay, we will make a slight adjustment to the program because we would like the Minister of Health of Ghana to participate in the award.
Angela Eladas, Ghana Commission, DG. Mais c'est pas mis ici. Ouais, okay, I will just emphasize that Dr. Angela Eladas has been the Director General of Ghana Health Commission since July 2029. As Director of General, as DG of GAC, she has led, among others, the development of national strategic documents, including the National Strategic Plan for HIV and AIDS, 2011 to 2015 and 2016 to 2020. A national strategy and standard operational procedure for key population, as well as the revision of the Ghana HIV and AIDS STI policy, which currently guides Ghana's response to HIV and AIDS. She is responsible for coordinating the implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of the country's HIV program, guiding advocacy, as well as the generating of strategic information and financing. His background: Dr. Eladas sold a Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery from the University of Ghana Medicine School and a Master's of Public Health degree with a certificate in Women's and Reproductive Health from the John Hopkins Bluebird School of Public Health. She is trained for strategic leadership in population and reproductive health program and has worked as an independent consultant to the Department of International Health at John Hopkins University and as a senior research technologist at the Pennsylvania State University. She combined a multidisciplinary clinical practice with research, while championing the sexual and reproductive health needs of women and other vulnerable populations at the Regional Institute of Population Studies, University of Ghana. Dr. Eladas is driven by a personal commitment to make a positive difference in the lives of infected and affected by HIV and AIDS. She is committed to ensure that access to comprehensive and integrating HIV prevention, treatment, care, and support is guaranteed for every citizen through an effective, efficient, and sustainable national response competently steered under the leadership of the Ghana AIDS Commission. Thank you so much, Dr. Angela Eladas. The next award?
Let's have the speech from Zimbabwe before we do the next award.
Okay. Yes. The speech of Zimbabwe, of the Minister of Health of Zimbabwe, before the second award. But let me introduce Honorable Ministry of Health of Zimbabwe. Alors, je voudrais introduire son honorable ministre de la Santé du Zimbabwe, Dr. David. Je ne dis pas les autres noms de peur de ne pas bien les prononcer. Mais ce que je vais dire est très important parce que le Dr. David a été ministre adjoint avant d'être ministre, député ministre avant d'être ministre depuis fort longtemps. Et avant d'être ministre, il a été également membre du Parlement, il a été sénateur. Mais ce que je veux dire, plus important pour nous, c'est que lorsque la SAA a décidé de quitter la Tunisie pour des raisons que vous savez, pour ICASA 2015, pour le Zimbabwe, et pour ICASA 2015, donc quitter la Tunisie pour Zimbabwe, on s'est tous demandé, d'abord, en un si peu de temps, est-ce qu'on serait capable d'organiser ICASA au Zimbabwe? Est-ce que le Zimbabwe avait les ressources et le leadership nécessaire pour organiser ICASA en si peu de temps? Est-ce que j'ai besoin de vous conter la suite? Ça a été un vrai succès grâce donc à l'engagement et au leadership de Monsieur le ministre de la Santé du Zimbabwe. C'est pour ça que je voudrais que vous l'applaudissiez fortement avant qu'il ne prenne la parole. Voilà. Monsieur le ministre.
The Director of Programs, who said that he's a virologist. Where is he now? Yeah, Director of Programs. Let me recognize you. I would like to recognize my colleague, who is the Minister of Health of Ghana, Alex Segbethia. Thank you very much for allowing us to come to your country and receiving us with such grace. The President of SAA, Professor Habib, he is from Egypt, and He's one of the hardworking guys I've seen. Let me recognize the co-chairs of this particular symposium, Professor Ampofo and Professor Kaunda. Is it Kaunda? Kaunda. But there's a Kaunda in Zambia, so Kaunda. The National AIDS Director here, or Chair, let me recognize you again. The WHO representative and other UN bodies that are here, members of the diplomatic corps that are here, but also, very importantly, the two representatives of the ministers of health from Cote d'Ivoire and Benin, who really gave us quite a good opening on what is happening here. Let me recognize all of you. I noticed that there's a lot of professors, a lot of academia here, and although it's a small group, but I think you should benefit from it. Let's really make use of this in a very big way. Let's talk, let's come up with a way forward properly. I was expecting, Minister, a huge group with a hall and, people sitting on top of each other but as it is, it's good. Let them talk and let us benefit, and I'll be looking forward to hearing the contributions that come out from here. This venue is well chosen. I have been to Ghana once, but this is the time I think I'm really going to appreciate Ghana much more. And I want to thank the organizers for this symposium for selecting Ghana. We had ICASA in Harare in 2015, and the theme there was on leadership, on science, and on human rights. It was a very successful conference, and I noticed some of you who were there are here. I can see my friend there agreeing. You were in Harare, weren't you? Yes, and I think there are several others. I also saw you in Durban. Yes, so you are working hard. I hope to do this time you'll talk. When I saw you in Harare, you didn't talk much. You were giving out documents. By this time, I expect you to actually talk a little bit more. But what emerged from that ICASA conference was that you cannot do without the communities. Whatever you do, you must involve communities. Otherwise, it's a lost cause. Otherwise, it's just yourselves doing what you think you're doing. But you really must go to the communities in various forms. What also emerged is that there are key populations. I know this word was very controversial, this phrase of key populations. People were saying, please don't use the words like key populations, but let's use them because it's reality. Each region or each country has got its own key populations. In Zimbabwe, we defined our own key populations and we address those. So there are key populations, and these are the people who are in the front line, if you like, of risk. And you must address it. If you don't address it, you don't win the war. What emerged also in Harare was that now we launched what we call test and treat. Test and treat. You test. Once you're found to be HIV positive, you're put on treatment immediately, regardless of what your CD4 count is. As long as you're HIV positive, you're put on treatment. What also emerged from that conference is that we must have a big arsenal of ARVs. They must always be there, because once you put a person on ARVs, it's for life. So clearly, that supply must always be there. And what also came out was that prevention was key. If you don't prevent, you don't win. And Minister, I always tell this story, that one day in Harare, on a Monday morning, I came to my office as usual, 7:45. I was going up the lift into my office, but the whole 5th floor was flooded with water. With the carpets, it was all flooded. And the first thing you do, could you tell me what's the first thing you do? The first thing you do, let's remind each other, is to say, where is this water coming from? Isn't it? where is this water coming from? And we found that it was there, somebody had left over the weekend a tap running. So a tap of water was pouring. So no matter how much you scoop out the water, if the tap is still running, you won't win, will you? It's exactly the same as HIV. If you don't close the taps of new infections, you won't win. So that is the basis of our new phrase, that close the taps of key population new infections. Close those taps. So it's the same as this symposium. We need to close the taps in terms of prevention. And finally, what emerged was the issue of resources. Where are we getting the resources from? And that is going to be very key. So this symposium on emerging and re-emerging communicable diseases is very key. The outbreaks of Ebola, of Zika, of Lassa, now of yellow fever are very, very instructive. And it taught us very big lessons, particularly in Africa. Very big lessons and very hard lessons. And I think the whole world was then taught real hard lessons. First it was just Africa, then the panic was also in Europe and in America. Once there's panic, you know what happens. You run everywhere. So there was a lot of panic. Taught us hard lessons. And the lessons that they were taught, one was that we must take cognizance of the health systems very, very quickly. Number two, there must always be the political will. Make sure your leaders are behind it. They understand what you're doing. If they don't understand, you do what you do, they won't give you the resources. So put them on board. And what happened in those three countries, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia, also, if you remember, the heads of state really of Africa ran around. They went to UN, they met in Addis on these issues. And I think we must take advantage of that. And I'm glad, Professor Habib, that you have taken advantage of this. This symposium is very timeless. Don't let people think that, now it's over. Ebola is over. No, we're getting new situations every time. Now you find people are beginning to say, do we go to Rio or not because of Zika? And some countries, some individuals, they've said, we're not going there. But for Zika, as you know, you can either be infected through a mosquito bite that is infected itself, or now we know it's sexually transmitted. So if you go to Rio and you avoid those two things, then you'll be fine. Just concentrate on the sport. Don't do sexual, and don't be bitten by a mosquito. So Rio, you will succeed. So I'm simply saying, there are things that keep on emerging. Now we've got yellow fever. Completely out of, it really blew out in Angola, and now in Uganda. And now we're saying as a region, what do we do? And when there was a time when I was passing through Ghana 4 months ago. I go to the airport. Minister, I needed to phone you then. When I got your airport here, I was asked for a yellow fever certificate. And I said, no, I don't have, I left it. Then they said, no, they took me to a corner. And I said, look, I'm a minister of health. They said, no, it doesn't matter, come. If you don't have the certificate, we're going to give you a jab. And they gave me a jab. They gave me a jab of yellow fever. So my yellow fever certificate is actually a Ghana one. So I think that is good. I applauded them in the end that, look, this is very good. You are thorough. So now this yellow fever is making us all alert about international health regulations. What do we do in Zimbabwe now? Do we say anybody who is coming from Angola should have a yellow fever? If you don't have it, go back. So it's issues that I hope this symposium It's not saying Liberia, it's not saying Zimbabwe, it's just that it exposed to us, we interrogated ourselves in SADC, that if it were to come to Harare or Lilongwe or Pretoria, are we ready? And we said no. The systems are weak. Why are they weak? Poor infrastructure, poor disease surveillance systems. Let's admit it and let's address them. We want to praise ourselves and say, no, let's address it's real. And we really said, in SADC, look, let's be realistic here. Our systems need to be interrogated. They are weak. We notice that there is poor laboratory capacities. I'm glad Ghana now, you are able to test for the region, for Lassa. That's really good. But generally, it's poor. So you wait for specimens to go elsewhere. We need to address that. And I know we're talking about the Africa Center for Disease Control and decentralizing it. So it's important when you talk about it tomorrow, what are we going to do? What does it mean for our laboratory systems? Can we diagnose Ebola now in more regions than before? And I think we should not lull ourselves. We have got poor transport systems. You know, those patients who were caught, they were put in special ambulances, isn't it? When they were being transported to Europe, they put these ambulances, you know. And when you get there to Europe, it's even a more intense ambulance. We didn't have that. So we must look at that. And I want to go back to international health regulations. We must understand what they mean. There was a lot of confusion. Some countries were closing borders, some closing aeroplanes, you know. Some were saying, no, it doesn't matter. We need to address that. And this symposium, be very forthright, because you're scientists. Be forthright. Whatever you come up with, you must take it to AU, you must take it to ECOWAS, you must take it to SADC, you must take it to the UN. Don't just have symposia and then say, yeah, we have had our symposium, yeah, so-and-so spoke very well, congratulations. No, it's not good enough. You need to target where you are, Professor Habib, where you want to take this. Don't invite us here and then it just ends here. Target those places. ECOWAS, SADC, AU, WHO. And you know, we are going to be meeting as ministers of health very soon. These are the things that we should be addressing. That what do we do? Have we woken up a bit more? We probably haven't. Very poor late response. The response was very poor and very late. Even for the international community, it was late. And I think we must admit that. So those are things I hope that when we are here, we will be able to address. So you found our economies plummeted. We lost a lot of lives. And I think the way forward is that let's continue to raise the political will of our leadership. And I've also said, while we talked about prevention for HIV, the prevention should also be the same. Let's look at all those things, the mosquitoes, the bats, the monkeys, those vectors, those hosts. If you're looking at prevention for these communicable diseases, you must go and do the research, the appropriate epidemiological research. Find out how you can address it. Don't tell us here that no, we prevention in a generic manner. You just have to narrow it down and say, right. And I liked the way you talked about one system, you know, animals, plants, mosquito, all those things together, and human beings. So that you are able then to say to ourselves, yeah, we're addressing this in a holistic manner. And our regions just have to be prepared. You can't wait for Europe and America anymore. And we tend to want to do that. Let's just wake up, it's us, it's our turn. Why did they do what they did there? It's our turn. Okay. I have got a lot more to say, but you know, if you say too much, people will forget what you said the first time. So I think it's always better to say no. I really hope that we will have a fruitful symposium and that it will be taken to the right places. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I found that working with viruses, if one cannot explain to the community what exactly these viruses are, then it's just a very poor approach. So thank you very much for the laid down-to-earth explanation of the issues. And I like the last part about not waiting for our brothers across the Atlantic to come to our aid. I remember, I was in Guinea with my colleague Ali Yahaya from WHO. And it was good that at least we Africans were there, working with our brothers in Guinea, trying to do something about Ebola. But I felt sad that, the AU response was a bit delayed in mobilizing, a large body of health workers to come and help. Whereas many young Europeans were trooping, to the region to help. So this time, this symposium is to help us, to discuss amongst ourselves. And as you said, come up with concrete recommendations to take to the meeting of ministers, to the AU, and to all the other bodies to help us, push forward the preparedness. And we are taking a cue from the work that we've done with HIV and also the recent experiences with Ebola. Thank you very much for that stimulating address. We will move on with the program now, but before the minister will be excused, he has to do one little duty. He has to help with the second award. So, Professor Seni, can you come up and give a little introduction and have the minister present the award? Thank you.
Merci. Je voudrais juste dire un mot pour le prochain récipiendaire, le docteur Pierre Pelé. Alors, le docteur Pierre Pelé, d'abord, a été président de la SAA. Ça, c'est important de le dire. En 1995, il a été président de ICASA à Kampala. Voilà, le docteur Pierre Pelé est du Congo et a occupé diverses positions dans la lutte contre le VIH et a été aussi représentant de l'OMS en République de Bénin après avoir été représentant en Guinée équatoriale, au Togo, en Éthiopie. Donc, je passe sous silence tout ce qu'il a fait comme chercheur dans le domaine du VIH, de la co-infection TB-VIH, la transmission mère-enfant, etc. Le docteur Pierre Pelé a reçu différents mérites et celui qu'on va lui décerner ce soir ne sera certainement pas le dernier avec tout ce qu'il continue à faire dans la lutte contre le sida. Je voudrais donc inviter son honorable Monsieur le ministre de la Santé du Ghana à bien vouloir remettre le mérite au docteur Pierre Pelé, que je vous demande d'applaudir. Merci. Je m'en vais introduire monsieur le représentant de l'OMS au Ghana qui va donner son mot d'ouverture. Le docteur Owen Kalua est le représentant résident de l'OMS au Ghana. Il est malawite de nationalité. Il est spécialisé en épidémiologie et en médecine préventive. Il a plus de 20 ans d'expérience en santé publique et particulièrement dans le domaine du VIH, de la surveillance épidémiologique, de la planification stratégique, du suivi-évaluation des programmes. Le Dr Kaloua a rejoint le bureau régional de l'OMS en 2002 en tant que conseiller régional pour donc le programme VIH. Avant donc sa nomination comme représentant au Ghana, il a été représentant au Swaziland. Il est passionné pour les questions donc de couverture maladie universelle. Je voudrais donc que vous accueilliez le docteur Owen pour donc son message. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Now, because I know many people don't speak French here, so I'll speak in English and let the translation take its course. Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Minister of Health of Ghana, Honorable Alex Sebefia, the Honorable Minister of Health of Zimbabwe, Honorable David Parenyatwa, the representatives of the Ministers of Health of Côte d'Ivoire and Benin, the chair of the Society for AIDS in Africa, the representative of development partners, and in particular our colleagues from the Netherlands Embassy, my colleagues from the UN family who are present here, colleagues from WHO Afro, as well as other WHO levels, in particular, my colleague Dr. Pierre WR for Benin, and also Dr. Olu, who is WR for Rwanda, who are also here. Co-chairs of the symposium, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and indeed all protocol observed. Good evening. Dear colleagues, I'm here to present this keynote address of Dr. Matshidiso Moeti, who is the WHO Regional Director for Africa, who could not make it to this very important symposium because of other competing prior engagements. I should very much have been, would like to have been here and sends our greetings and wishes this symposium all the best. So I'll now go and present to you the speech of the WHO Regional Director for Africa. Permit me to start by thanking the government of Ghana for hosting this important symposium on Africa's preparedness for emerging viral infections, lessons learned from HIV/AIDS and Ebola, and outlook for Zika and Lassa. Let me also thank the ICASA organizing committee for convening the symposium in this beautiful city of Accra. The theme of the symposium is pertinent to the WHO African region, where HIV/AIDS and other emerging and re-emerging viral infections such as Ebola, Lassa, yellow fever, and Zika continue to be among the major public health concerns. Honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, we have learned significant lessons over the past 4 decades while responding to the global HIV/AIDS scourge. Though Ebola outbreaks have occurred in the region since 1970s, the recent unprecedented outbreak in West Africa has taught us additional lessons. We now appreciate better that global health security is all about strong health systems. The most vulnerable countries are those with the least developed systems. Many of these countries are in our region. These lessons that we have learned must be embedded into our preparedness efforts for the ongoing and future public health threats. We cannot do business as usual. Our systems must be more resilient and responsive to the problems that we face. It is worth noting that over 100 significant public health emergencies occur annually in the Africa region. We should also note that globally, the majority of people living with HIV are found in Africa. The whole region is at risk of emerging infectious diseases, of course, with geographical variations within the region. For instance, although the sub-Saharan Africa is home to about 13.4% of the world's population, it accounts for 69% of all people living with HIV and 70% of all AIDS deaths, as reported in 2014. The majority of the infectious disease threats occur in the context of poor socioeconomic status, weak health systems, rapid population growth, unplanned urbanization, climate change, natural hazards such as floods and drought, armed conflict, and other social unrest. These underlying factors exacerbate human and health systems vulnerabilities. This further justifies the call for a holistic, multi-sector, and all-hazard approach to emergency preparedness in our region. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, beyond morbidity and mortality, health emergencies cause socioeconomic disruptions. For instance, the recent Ebola epidemic in our region reversed gains in economic growth in the 3 most affected countries. The loss in gross domestic product was estimated at $219 million in Sierra Leone, $188 million in Liberia, and $184 million in Guinea. Investing in preparedness for health emergencies reduces socioeconomic disruptions and protects the country's economic achievements. Moreover, inadequate preparedness and response capacities, insufficient financial, human, and logistical resources, fragmented health services, limited community engagement, inadequate inter-country collaboration and partnership continue to present major challenges for attaining health security in the Africa region. The question that we must now ask ourselves is how are we applying the key lessons we have learned from the 4 decades of work on HIV/AIDS and the recent Ebola response. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, the report of the Commission on Global Health Risk Framework for the Future, 2016, summarizes what we collectively need to do as well. We need stronger national public health capacities, infrastructures, and processes built to a common standard and regularly assessed through an objective and transparent process which is fully consistent with international legal obligation under the International Health Regulations 2005. There's no doubt that weak and fragile health systems hamper emergency response. While the International Health Regulations 2005 integrated disease surveillance and disease risk management strategies, among others, have been developed and are being implemented in the region, weak health systems, coupled with inadequate resources, hinder adequate responses to emergencies. Hence, for a meaningful, effective, and sustainable emergency preparedness, strengthening national health systems needs to be prioritized and is an imperative. the importance of country leadership, ownership and alignment of partner agendas to support country priorities cannot be overemphasized. The implementation of a collective, coherent and synergistic approach among international, regional and national stakeholders in responding to HIV and Ebola emergencies have produced desirable results. Our collective efforts require active coordination, convening, monitoring, and maintaining collaboration to ensure that relevant information is shared timely with all the stakeholders. In this regard, a strategic partnership portal that provides a clear visual mapping that summarizes funding and shows gaps and overlaps has been launched. This provides a comprehensive real-time reporting based on health system strengthening and international health regulation core capacities, as well as transparency for future joint collaboration. This will ensure complementarities and synergies in the technical and funding support provided by partners through the various health security initiatives. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, ensuring an effective and sustained national preparedness capacity requires countries to commit domestic resources for the implementation of international health regulations. Partners should mobilize additional resources to supplement the country's efforts. The Joint External Evaluation Tool allows countries to identify the most urgent needs within their health security systems so as to prioritize opportunities for enhanced preparedness, response, and action, and to engage with current. Fifthly, for effective preparedness and early warning systems, WHO underscores the importance of intersectoral collaboration with human, animal health, the environment, and wildlife sectors using the One Health approach. To further foster this multi-sectoral collaboration, WHO and partners are convening a high-level One Health meeting in Dakar in November this year to take this agenda forward. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, recent developments offer opportunities for improvement in our regional and global health security preparedness. These include the Global Health Security Agenda, establishment of the Africa Centers for Disease Prevention and Control, stronger partnerships with the African Union Commission, regional economic commissions, training and research institutions, and other stakeholders, and the commitment by the G7. With the full country support and endorsement of our partners, the WHO Africa region is committed to intensify efforts required to meet the demands and challenges of an increasing globalized world in order to tackle current and future health security threats. Finally, let me say that the World Health Organization Africa region is keen as always to partner with you all to achieve this goal. And on this note, I wish you all the best and the success of this very important and timely symposium. I thank you.
Thank you very much, WR. I think we need another round of applause. For the delivery of the message from the regional director. I think that we are drawing to the close of the program. I don't know if our drummers are still active. So can you come to your post, and we will conclude the program at this stage. We will have a welcome cocktail, and I think the ushers will take us to the location, which is very close by. Yes. I think I need to notify you that the actual registration desk for the conference is in the conference center, the other entrance of the hotel. But the meeting will the symposium will take place here. So as you can see from the program, for those of you who have registered, we will start tomorrow morning at 8:30. Yes, at 8:30 tomorrow morning. So on behalf of the co-chair and myself, I'd like to thank very much our dignitaries on the high table who have made time to be with us for this opening ceremony. And we congratulate once again our awardees for the excellent dedication to HIV work. And I hope that the next time we have a symposium, we'll have some awardees for Zika and Ebola and Lassa as well. Okay. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We will conclude with the drummers giving us some parting local sounds, and we will now proceed for the cocktail. Thank you very much.
Mirror, mirror, it's been a while since the face in you was mine. Now all I see is a broken figure. How long until I settle for this is fine? But why should a river compromise? Vivid reflects the sky, so I'm going to run on deeper. Break the dam if the bars won't let me by. Breaking bars, I'll be breaking bars. From prisons that hold and standards too low. Breaking bars, I'll be breaking bars. With every note. Breaking bars, I'm gonna be breaking bars.